Yi Xian crossed the Tianyuan continent and became a miscellaneous disciple of the Dao Tian sect. However, 2 years later, the sect was destroyed and he moved to other sections. 3 years later, Yi Xian stopped working, but by this time the mortal experience period of the system had expired and finally began to be activated. So, he began to rebuild the Dao Tian sect. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the Trench Inhumane Novice gift package. Reward the Emperor's Cultivation, Eternal Holy Body, Emperor's Summoning Card, and Extreme Dao Emperor's Weapon. Ding, congratulations to the host for conquering the pet Dahuang dog. Reward 1 Immortal Pulse that can generate immortal energy. Due to Dahuang dog's exceptional talent, reward the host with 200 times the critical hit rate. Ding, congratulations to the host for receiving the Great Disciple. Reward the Supreme Dharma, the Great Nirvana Pill, and the same number of Enlightenment tea trees as the Immortal Veins. Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission. Reward the Immortal Elixir, Innate Spiritual Fruit, and trigger 100 times critical strike rate. Every apprentice or pet received will receive a luxurious reward, and unintentional events will become hidden missions, rewarding mysterious gift packages and triggering critical strike rates. Years later, Yi Xian pushed the Dao Tian sect to an unprecedented height and stood at the top of the universe. What? Even Dao Tian sect's floor sweepers are great saints. Yi Xian said, I'm sorry, the dog guarding my house is also a great saint, isn't it? The Emperor is coming soon. What? The Lord of Dao Tian sect went to eat beef noodles in the ancient race of the barbarian cattle tribe. Yi Xian. Sorry, I don't eat beef. What? There are immortals coming to the immortal realm, so why not? Yi Xian said, I'm sorry, our ancestors of the heavenly sect are all immortals. Even a single spit can drown him. Chapter 1. Emperor's Cultivation, Eternal Holy Body, Extreme Dao Emperor's Soldier. You are listening at novelfull.audio. P.S. Brothers, please spray lightly. Summoning cards will be used in Chapter 62. Kanglan Star Domain, Tianyuan Continent, Southern Wilderness, Ethereal Sect. 5 years, it's been 5 whole years, my goodness. Let me go. A long howl echoed from a water room inside the sect gate. His name is Yi Xian, and he was originally an ordinary young man on the blue planet who could no longer be ordinary. However, after using the ash machine in the toilet, he stumbled and fell to the ground with too much force. He fainted and woke up as a miscellaneous disciple named Dao Tian sect. After crossing over, Yi Xian lived a miserable life. Unable to cultivate, there is no system yet. You need to pick enough 108 buckets of water every day to eat. I need to feed 108 demon beasts from the golden elixir realm before I can sleep. After persisting for 2 years, Yi Xian finally had the opportunity to wear a yellow robe. Because of his good behavior, the elder from the outer sect picked him out and became a disciple in the yellow robe, saying that he would help him transform his body and cultivate immortality against the mortal world. Yi Xian cried excitedly for 3 days and 3 nights at that time. I haven't slept for several consecutive days. However, fate is always unfair. On the day when Yi Xian was preparing to wear a yellow robe, a quasi-saint carrying endless power descended from the sky. Beat the sect to pieces without saying a word. Even the leader and all the elders died. Afterwards, countless disciples of the ethereal sect came in to burn, kill, and plunder, accepting whatever they saw and killing any remaining disciples. And when it's Yi Xian's turn, someone humiliated him when they saw that he had no spiritual roots. That's right. I almost called your protagonist to eat shit. Yi Xian immediately said, 30 years east of the river, 30 years west of the river, don't deceive young people into poverty. However, after saying these words, the people of the ethereal sect saw that he was a talented person and pulled him away from the ethereal sect. But let's start with being a miscellaneous disciple. This job lasted for 3 years, and continued to carry water and feces without any chance of wearing a yellow robe. Just today, Yi Xian finally realized that this was fate. In the world of cultivation, like the society on that blue planet, there are capitalists squeezing everywhere. He doesn't want to work anymore. Why bother cultivating immortals? Plant a field in the countryside, lie flat for decades, and finally die of old age. Others travel through either the system or the system. Why are you a waste? Yi Xian took off his clothes directly, threw away the bucket beside him, and even stomped on it hard, venting his dissatisfaction for the past 5 years. Ding, 5 years of experience career is over, system activated. Gah. Just as Yi Xian was preparing to escape, a mechanical voice rang out in his mind, and Yi Xian's face was instantly filled with excitement. System, really there is a system, ha ha ha, really there is a system, okay. I'm going to be invincible, I'm going to be invincible. Yi Xian danced with joy. Although the system is late, it must arrive. 5 years. 5 whole years. Do you know how I spent these 5 years? Yi Xian howled up to the sky. Noble host, the first 5 years are free experience time given by the system to the host in the cultivation world. As the name suggests, it means allowing the host to experience the life of the cultivation world first and adapt in advance. Free gift. If you give it to your master, he will die. Hiccup. Do you know that? Jesus can't save that either. Yi Xian angrily cursed. Alright, there's a system error. I'm planning to give the owner a heartless beginner gift pack. It's a way to make up for the owner's losses in the past 5 years. The moat is inhumane. How many moats are inhumane? Yi Xian's eyes lit up. Super Trench is inhumane. Do you want to claim and open it? Immediately claim and open it. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the early cultivation of the Great Emperor. Shua. As soon as the words fell, a majestic force descended from the sky, and the endless avenue merged into Yi Xian's body. His realm continued to rise. Refining gas, building foundations. Dongtian transforming into a Saint Emperor. Finally, Yi Xian's cultivation came to a halt in the early realm of the Great Emperor. He felt that there was a vast and endless power within him, as if one punch could shatter a star. Directly invincible. Under this starry sky, the realm is divided into Qi refining, foundation building, golden elixir, yuanying, dongtian, huashan, tianshan, quasi-saint, saint, sage king, great saint, quasi-emperor, great emperor. Each realm is further divided into 4 sub-realms. Early, middle, late, and peak. The Great Emperor is already at full level, but in this era, the Great Emperor does not emerge, and quasi-emperors are even rarer. Even though Yi Xian only had his early cultivation, he can still be invincible. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the eternal Holy Communion, which has been bestowed upon oneself. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining a Purple Emperor summoning card. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining a level 1 sect building card. Wow! A pile of gifts continued to display on the system panel, causing Yi Xian's excited eyes to shine and his heart to jump out with a thud. Eternal Eucharist. Immortal and eternal. Beyond time, space, any path, or rule, one cannot annihilate oneself. Truly eternal and free, eternal and eternal. Even if the host is annihilated by anything, it can be resurrected and forever free eternal Holy Communion. Immortal and immortal, transcending all things. Even if slain, one can still be resurrected. Such an incredible feat. Looking at the introduction of physical rewards in the system, Yi Xian widened his eyes, which means that even if he didn't have the cultivation of the Great Emperor and stood there fighting for you, he wouldn't be able to die. Truly immortal. One is the cultivation of the Great Emperor, and the other is the eternal holy body, which is invincible at the beginning. Indeed, the moat is inhumane. Then, Yi Xian began to review the introduction of the third reward. Purple Emperor Summoning Card. Can summon an absolutely loyal Emperor peak strong. After reading the introduction, Yi Xuanqi raised his eyebrows. This summoning card can make up for the lack of sect experts. This is the ability to summon the pinnacle of the Emperor who is even higher in cultivation and absolutely loyal than him. This tube is indeed generous. But what kind of ghost is this sect? System, this reward is so luxurious. Do you want me to build a sect? Yi Xian touched his chin. Yes, the host. This system is called the strongest sect creation system in eternal times. The host can establish a sect and complete the system's apprenticeship task. The system will distribute more gift packages, allowing the host to create the strongest sect in eternal times. No, I won't do it. After listening, Yi Xian cried and didn't want to live in the sect anymore. It was too hard. He wants to retire. How can a host receive requests from the system? A talented person with a beautiful appearance, a jade tree facing the wind, and a blooming flower. The system suddenly changed to a lowly sound and said in a milky voice, almost startling Yi Xian. I see your sincerity. Yi Xian smiled. Ding, as the host is the great emperor, how can we do without a suitable weapon? Gift the extreme Tao Emperor's weapon. Slaying Immortal Sword. Extreme Tao Emperor Soldier. Holy crap, handsome. He's so handsome. The system is quite sincere. Dear esteemed owner, I am not sure if you are satisfied with the compensation provided by the system. Yi Xian dares to say that the system's lowly sound is definitely the best and most irresistible lowly sound he has ever heard. Since you are so sincere, then my master agrees to your request. But what name should this sect give? Yi Xian became difficult again. In a moment. Just call the Heavenly Sect. Yi Xian laughed. As early as 3 years ago, he shouted. 30 years east of the river, 30 years west of the river, don't deceive young people into poverty. 3 years later, he rebuilt the Dao Tian sect with his cultivation against the heavens, allowing the people of the ethereal sect to see if what he said was true. Chapter 2. The power of slaying immortals, the continent shakes, and the annihilation of the phantom sect. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Lazy when carrying water, do you want to eat now? However, at this moment, the senior brothers in the water delivery room walked out and angrily rebuked Yi Xian, who saw the floor full of clams. I originally wanted to get along with you as an ordinary person, but what I didn't expect was distance. Yi Xian looked at them coldly. The senior brothers looked at him curiously. Stop pretending, I'm the emperor, I'll show my hand. Yi Xian pouted and smiled. Ha ha ha. However, as soon as these words were spoken, they caused a burst of laughter. Did you hear anything about him? He's the emperor. If this kid were the emperor, I would be the emperor's ancestor, ha ha ha. Am I still a true immortal? He's still the emperor, what is he? He doesn't have any spiritual power, he's still the emperor. I'm laughing to death. The great emperor has left our ethereal sect as servants. Ha ha ha. Several senior brothers laughed until their stomachs hurt and tears were about to flow, obviously not believing in Yi Xian. Yi Xian shook his head helplessly. He wanted to get along with them as an ordinary person. But what about them? Helpless. Pop. A crisp snap of fingers rang out, and the world suddenly fell silent. Several fellow disciples instantly widened their eyes and couldn't breathe. Clack. Several heads fell heavily to the ground. Dead, walking peacefully without anyone noticing, this is the emperor's method. If I want you to die in an instant, I won't let you catch your breath for a while. Yi Xian was amazed. Just a snap of the finger, is this oneself? Like a dream, I can't believe I was just a water bearer without cultivation not long ago. Yi Xian felt refreshed and relieved, and now he will live a life that tens of thousands of people admire. He slowly rose into the air and began to release the terrifying pressure. Now, what he needs to do next is to create the Dao Tian sect. However, before creating the Dao Tian sect, it is necessary to first eradicate the ethereal sect. Suddenly, thunder rolled in and out of the sky, causing the four corners of the world to lose color. The terrifying aura covered the sky and sun, completely enveloping the ethereal sect. All the disciples of the phantom sect were shocked and turned pale. They looked up at the void and saw a young man standing in the midst of it, shining with a rosy glow. Clothes rustle, black hair flutters, endless sun and moon entwine around it, and strands of great road runes interweave into chains of order, crisscrossing the world. With every step he takes, the golden lotus blooms on the road, like an immortal statue descending onto the mortal world, terrifying to the extreme. That's Yi Xian. A disciple recognized him, his eyes absent-minded, his whole body sweating cold sweat, and his legs and feet trembling. I can't believe that Yi Xian, who used to be their miscellaneous disciples, suddenly suspended in the void now. His breath looks so terrifying. Is it possible that he is a saint? Sage. Upon hearing these words, some disciples instantly felt cold all over, recalling the scene 3 years ago when they took Yi Xian away from the Dao Tian sect. Wow! 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 Feeling the terrifying aura, figures flew out of 108 peaks one by one. Which Taoist friend has come to visit my ethereal sect? Please give me your name. A strong person exudes a brilliant power, truly the strongest ancestor of the ethereal sect, and is a saint. Having the power of saints is already considered a hegemonic force in the Tianyuan continent, and some ethnic groups are not dared to provoke by the imperial court. But unfortunately, they met Yi Xian today. My name is Yi Xian, the 108th generation leader of the Dao Tian sect. The 108th generation leader was self-proclaimed by Yi Xian, as he did not know which generation the Dao Tian sect had passed down. The sound was eerie, like the 9 Yu spreading, and everyone was trembling, even more shocked. What? How could it be? 3 years ago, we destroyed the Dao Tian sect and personally investigated it. There was no one left. How could you be the leader of the Dao Tian sect? The elder who committed the crime back then walked out and looked at Yi Xian incredulously. 3 years ago, he had clearly killed all those related to the Daoist heavenly sect, why would he still reappear? I have to ask your unreliable disciples, Yi Xian laughed. Upon hearing these words, some disciples of the ethereal sect quickly hid. If the elders knew that they had let go of one of the disciples of the Dao Tian sect back then, they would definitely have killed them. Damn it! The powerful member of the ethereal sect's pupils trembled, realizing that today's big deal was not going well. If this person is really the leader of the Dao Tian sect, then today he is designated to come back for revenge, and from his authority, he is definitely a saint. Daoist friend, 3 years ago it was my fault with the ethereal sect. You need to find an explanation. How about leaving the ethereal sect first? The sage and ancestor of the ethereal sect said in a deep voice. Although he is also a saint, facing this person, I have no confidence in my heart, and this is the territory of the ethereal sect. If there is really a fight, the entire mountain gate will suffer. Leaving the ethereal sect. Yi Xian remained indifferent. Since being brought to the ethereal sect by their disciples, there has been no day without living like a beast. They cultivate immortality from above, completely ignoring the life and death of those below. Sometimes when they are in a bad mood, they even step on you hard. He is going to destroy the ethereal sect today, not only to seek revenge from the Dao Tian sect, but also to fight for breath. Yi Xian opened his hands, embraced heaven and earth, took a sudden breath of air, and said, "Today, let's use you to sacrifice the sword." My mind twitched. A sword's roar resounds through heaven and earth. Beside Yi Xian, a dragon-shaped heavenly sword appeared, transparent in glass, crafted from chaotic immortal gold, emitting endless immortal light that slowly shook and resonated with the way. Wonderful fairy lotus flowers bloom one after another, and majestic sword energy gushes into the sky and earth, like a sea of stars pouring backwards, instantly filling the entire ethereal sect. This is. Everyone's pupils suddenly contract, their expressions momentarily froze, and their mouths could even fit an egg. Looking at the Xuan sword, it seemed as if he had fallen into an endless abyss, instantly cooling from head to toe. The light tremble of the sword of slaying immortals bloomed strands of patterns, and everyone's magical tools were instantly unsheathed, resonating and making a kneeling posture. This is the one she worship. The sage ancestor and some quasi-saints were greatly shocked, and a terrifying idea came to their hearts. This is probably the Emperor's ultimate weapon. Taoist friend, we apologize to you. The ethereal sect is willing to use the resources of the entire sect for 1,000 years as compensation. The sage ancestor gritted his teeth. He was closest to the slaying immortal sword and had the strongest pressure, forcing his white hair to dance wildly and his entire body to stand unsteadily. A saint, in front of this sword, looks like this. This surprised everyone. Yi Xian smiled bitterly. With 1,000 years of resources, how could they compensate for the lives of everyone in the entire Dao Tian sect? He shook his head and said coldly, "It's too late." Yi Xian gently raised his hand, with a handsome posture and grace. The sword of slaying immortals seemed to understand its meaning and began to soar into the air, emitting 100,000 miles of immortal light. Sword. Only a sword could be heard, spreading throughout the Tianyuan continent. A sword shadow loomed straight into the sky, breaking open the clouds and blooming beyond the starry sky of the continent. Sword shadows fall from beyond, carrying infinite immortal light, illuminating all human areas, forbidden areas, and immortal lands on the continent. What's going on? How could I feel the aura of the extreme Dao Emperor's soldiers? It's the Jidao Emperor's weapon, and it seems that this Jidao Emperor's weapon has just arrived in the world. That person intentionally didn't exert all his strength, but from this sword shadow, it seems that this guy can completely control the Emperor's weapon. Completely in control. Is it possible that that guy is a newly crowned emperor? How could it be? This cosmic aura is cut off, how could there be a living emperor? It shouldn't be the emperor. It should be a secret technique or sword scripture obtained. Hurry over and see if you can grab this imperial weapon. The sword shadow appeared, illuminating all the dark places on the continent. Ancient creatures revived one by one, and they were all shocked, wanting to take this imperial soldier into their bags. Unexpectedly, some disciples of the Phantom sect were scared to death, while others were convulsing and their eyes were turning white, staring straight at the slaying immortal sword and unable to speak. Some larger ants even knelt on the ground, praying for Yi Xian's forgiveness. Yi Xian's expression was icy, and he waved his fingertips to accelerate the speed of the slaying immortal sword. Vertical. The sage and ancestor roared loudly, biting through their fingertips and risking their lives. Their whole body surged with blood, piercing through the sky. He opened his fist, wanting to forcefully slay the immortal sword. The infinite immortal light transformed into a divine dragon roaring away, and the void exploded inch by inch. But the sword of slaying immortals is an extremely powerful imperial weapon, wielded from the hands of the great emperor with endless power. The sage ancestor was only affected by a ray of sword energy, and his body exploded, even the blood mist in the sky was evaporated. The ancestor of a sage realm has died. Everyone in the entire sect stared wide-eyed, as if falling into an abyss and being devoured by endless fear. The sword light fell like a vast sea of swords, crashing down from the sky and filling the entire ethereal sect. Buildings were shattered one by one, elders were blown apart one by one, and those disciples were not even affected by their sword energy. They were directly vaporized by the power of the slaying immortal sword, and no one survived. Chapter 3. Summoning Card X4, 10-star Pet, Dog King Born. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Easy and easy. No need for any strength, just a blade of the slaying immortal sword will slaughter all the cultivators in the ethereal peak. Great. Yi Xian took a deep breath. It's really amazing. The feeling of killing like killing ants is simply ethereal. He could have fallen under the pressure of the great emperor and destroyed the ethereal sect in an instant. But for the first time, Yi Xian also wanted to test his hand with the slaying immortal sword, so he showed great compassion and let them die under the shadow of a sword from the extreme Tao Emperor's army. They can also rest in peace. Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission, defeating the ethereal sect, and obtaining a mysterious gift pack. Hide tasks. Yi Xian's eyes flickered and he quickly checked the gift package. System, open the random gift package. Ding, it has been detected that the number of host summoning cards is scarce, and the large gift package of the tube leans towards summoning card type gifts. The gift package has been opened. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Quasi-Emperor Realm Cultivator Summoning Card X2 and the Great Saint Realm Cultivator Summoning Card X2. What? Directly opened up the two highest realms under the Emperor. Yi Xian widened his eyes, his luck was so good. With these 4 summoning cards, combined with the Great Emperor Summoning Card, he believes that the Heavenly Sect is capable of dominating the Tianyuan continent. After receiving the reward, Yi Xian collected all the treasures left by the ethereal sect and prepared to leave. Boom! However, at this moment, a terrifying roar came from the depths of the ethereal peak. Are there any old monsters? Yi Xuanhua's fist rubbed against his palm, and the mountain peak that roared was the deepest and most ethereal. There are huge graves over there, where the ancestors of the ethereal sect have been buried. But today, due to the influence of the slaying immortal sword, these graves have all exploded, even the remains have been shattered and turned into powder, permeating the air. Yi Xian waved his hand and scattered all the ashes, discovering a surprising scene in the tomb group. On a small mound, there were actually bells protecting it. The big bell emitted a fierce purple light, and the bell body showed several cracks. Great Saint-level bell. Yi Xian was taken aback for a moment. It was truly surprising that only the ethereal sect of the sage ancestor would have a Taoist bell at the level of a great saint. He guessed. The reason why the great sage level Dao Zhong didn't fight against the slaying immortal sword just now is actually because the power of the slaying immortal sword is too great, even Dao Zhong was afraid. Moreover, looking at the cracks on its body, it is estimated that it was injured just now by forcefully shaking the sword light to protect this small tomb. What exactly is there in this small grave? Yi Xian couldn't help but wonder. He grabbed the clock with a big hand and put it away. The Dao Zhong fell into his palm and kept shrinking, eventually transforming into a bell that stunned Yi Xian. Sha sha sha. At this moment, there was movement coming from the small grave, and the soil was actually shrinking inside. Something wants to break through the ground. In Yi Xian's surprised gaze, a big yellow dog with a pointed mouth, a flat forehead, and a wolf-like appearance walked out. Chai Go. Yi Xian was taken aback. You are the Shiba dog, your whole family is Shiba dog. Can't you tell this noble fur? I'm a Chinese pastoral dog. Before De Huanggo could see clearly who the person in front of him was, he heard someone say he was a Chai Go and cursed. Yi Xian smiled lightly and directly released his pressure. The terrifying force fell on the yellow dog, which surprised it greatly. Perhaps you are also a great saint. Obviously, the rhubarb dog was frightened by Yi Xian's breath. Ding, congratulations to the host for encountering a 10-star talent pet. By enrolling it in the sect, you can receive a luxurious gift pack. At this point, due to the appearance of the yellow dog, the system also heard the sound of releasing tasks. Rhubarb, cultivation in the Great Holy Realm, purebred Chinese pastoral dog. In pursuit of the footsteps of the heavenly Emperor Shifeng becoming an immortal, he buried himself for 9 lifetimes, with a lifespan of 10,000 years. Now he is the 9th generation. But after burying endless years, Rhubarb lost his memory and only remembered that he came to become an immortal in his past life. He met the previous leader of the ethereal sect and was taken in by him until his death. He was buried at the last peak. Yi Xian looked at the system's explanation and smacked his mouth. This 10-star talented yellow dog has encountered quite a lot. To follow someone and dare to do so. He took it. I am willing to be the watchdog of the Dao Tian sect, are you willing? Yi Xian smiled. Upon hearing this, the big yellow dog was stunned. Without an answer, he said, isn't this place the ethereal sect? Why did you enter the realm of the ethereal sect? Although he has lived for 8 generations and lost his memories, he still vaguely remembers some memories. He was taken in by the previous leader of the ethereal sect and was buried here after his death. I have destroyed the ethereal sect, Yi Xian responded coldly. De Huang was startled, and his figure quickly shuttled between the peaks. After returning to the original place, his heart was filled with fear. Well, after endless years, they will eventually return to the yellow soil. De Huang shook his head and sighed. At his level, he was only 1 step away from becoming the quasi-emperor, and he could not linger in the mortal world. If you want to become an immortal, you will be reincarnated for 9 lifetimes and buried for 8 lifetimes. If you enter our sect, in this lifetime, I will help you become an immortal. Yi Xian's voice was deep. This sentence comes out. Rhubarb's eyes instantly widened, making her hair stand on end. How do you know about my 9th reincarnation? De Huang was frightened, and he also forgot when the 9th reincarnation began. He only knew that after the 8th reincarnation, all his old friends had withered away. The people I have met have all died. No one knows his identity anymore. Even if it is a great saint of the same level as him, it is difficult to see. Perhaps the person in front of me is the emperor. How about it? Yi Xian said in a deep voice. De Huang's eyes flickered strangely and he nodded, saying, I promise you, but I only have a lifespan of 10,000 years. Within 10,000 years, I must become the emperor and embark on the path of immortality, otherwise I will die without a doubt and cannot be reincarnated again. Yi Xian smiled and shook his head, saying, 10,000 years is too long, 100 years is enough. 100 years. Rhubarb explodes all over. Can you make me cross from the great sage to the true immortal in 100 years? He can't believe it. Unless the person in front of you is a true immortal. Dang! Just as he was meditating, a voice came and De Huang looked around, only to see a bell flying towards him in the void. This item protected you when the sect was destroyed just now, and I will return it to you, said Yi Xian. De Huang smiled bitterly and said, this thing has followed me for endless years, but I have forgotten where it came from and why it appeared on me. Upon hearing this, Yi Xian felt relieved. From the system introduction just now, what the Rhubarb said should be related to the cultivator named Xuan who it followed. After subduing the Rhubarb, Yi Xian didn't wait long before leaving. However, just after Yi Xian left, countless pairs of eyes began to manifest in the sky, which were ancient and powerful creatures. When they saw that the destroyed ethereal sect still had residual sword energy, they were all shocked and confirmed that this was a newly born extreme Dao Emperor soldier. I can't see this person's figure even within a radius of 100,000 miles using my heavenly eyes. There is only one possibility. The person using this imperial weapon is stronger than us. Above us. How could it be? Most of us are creatures who have fallen from the imperial realm and lived for endless years. Don't you know what powerful beings in this universe can be above us? If it were the newly crowned emperor, it seems impossible either. If the movement and stillness could overturn the entire universe, other stars' powerhouses would surely come. Unable to capture Yi Xian's figure, these ancient powerhouses could only leave in frustration. At the same time, the news of the downfall of the ethereal sect also spread throughout the southern wilderness, shocking everyone. That is the top power with saints as ancestors, who were annihilated by that sword shadow. What kind of existence has this caused? The news caused a sensation, causing the same level of major sects to think about all the annoying forces one after another, fearing that the end would also be like the ethereal sect. Chapter 4. Immortal Pulse Critical Strike, Great Sage Sweeps the Floor, First Disciple. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Yi Xian returned to the ruins of the original Dao Tian sect and used the first-level sect gate construction card. A vast and magnificent mountain gate rose from the ground. In front of the mountain gate, there are two giant dragons running horizontally. The dragons arch a plaque with three big characters depicting dragons flying and phoenixes dancing. Dao Tianzong. The sect leader is truly a divine person. Xuan was amazed. After living for so many years, he had also had an interaction with the emperor, but he had never seen such a method before. And this heavenly sect is countless times more brilliant than the original ethereal sect. Not only are there 108 giant peaks, but also countless brilliant attics. The spiritual energy inside the sect is even more abundant. Even if it is a holy land on the Tianyuan continent, it is not as good as this place. System, open the luxurious gift package that just took over the Yellow Dog mission. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the sect building. A fairy vein that can generate fairy chi, nourish all things, and improve the cultivation speed of living beings. Immortal Pulse. Yi Xian looked at the shrunken version of the immortal veins like a dragon, with a golden light shining in his eyes. At the level of the emperor, he could recognize the extraordinary features of this mountain range at a glance. The aura generated by this mountain range is completely different from spiritual energy. As the system claims, it belongs to immortal energy, and the speed of enhancing spiritual cultivation is countless times better than spiritual energy. However, the system, it's a bit excessive for you to give this reward, isn't it? It's also luxurious. Yi Xian's mouth twitched. Although this immortal vein was incredibly precious, there was still a slight difference compared to the gifts given by the previous system. Ding, don't worry, host. The host has won a lottery with a maximum critical hit rate of 200 times. After the lottery is completed, the number of immortal veins can be increased. Holy crap, Yi Xian was stunned. Can the maximum critical hit rate increase the number of immortal veins by 200 times? So cool. System, lottery. Crash, after receiving the command, a lottery will appear on the system interface, constantly rotating. After a moment, it stopped at one point. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining 108 times the critical hit, which can increase the number of immortal veins to 108. Luxury. Indeed luxurious. Yi Xian's eyes lit up and he almost burst out laughing. This immortal pulse has directly hit 108, so isn't this sect a safe immortal mountain? Boom boom. 108 immortal veins manifested within the sect, and endless immortal energy surged out, instantly filling the entire vast Dao Tian sect. This is immortal energy. Rhubarb was stunned. Having lived for endless years, I have once again smelled the immortal aura in the lower world. And it's not just a hint of fairy spirit. It ran away, and on the back mountain, it even overlooks 108 mountain ranges. Each mountain range is vast and boundless, like a giant dragon crossing across. There are 108 giant dragons, emitting endless immortal energy, like an boundless sea. It froze. Having lived for 8 generations and walked countless starry skies, I have never seen such a place before. What kind of monster is this sect leader? Where did all these immortal veins come from? It couldn't imagine, its dog eyes were wide open, unable to recall for a long time. It predicts that as long as he stays in the Dao Tian sect for less than 100 years, he will definitely become an immortal. After the manifestation of the immortal pulse, Yi Xian began to count the gifts still in his hand. Except for the Jidao Emperor soldiers. There are only summoning cards left. 2 quasi-emperor cards, 2 great saint cards, 1 great emperor card. Yi Xian's heart trembled. With this reliable critical strike system, as soon as this pile of summoning cards was released, who would compete with the Tianyuan continent? Leaving aside the purple emperor card, just the first 2 quasi-emperor cards and 2 great holy cards have such a profound foundation that even in today's holy lands, the immortal great cult cannot compare to them. Master, there is no one in this sect. Is there still a need to guard the gate? At this moment, when Dahuang saw that the sect was deserted, he couldn't help but ask. He is a great saint with cultivation. The first person under the quasi-emperor. Even though Dao Tian's sect is comparable to a fairyland, we cannot let a great saint guard the door. Who said there's no one in the sect? Look at that. Yi Xian pointed in one direction and said, I saw 2 terrifying figures flying from the depths of the sect. That's 2 great saints. Huang was shocked. Originally, Yi Xian also realized that the sect was deserted, so he simply used up 2 great sage cards and summoned 2 great sages. Disciple Zhang San. Disciple Li Si. Farewell to the sect leader. Zhang San and Li Si introduced each other separately, and finally bowed together and bowed to Yi Xian. Well, from now on, you will be responsible for sweeping the floor inside the sect. The Rhubarb will be responsible for guarding the door. Yi Xuanfen instructed. What? The Rhubarb stumbled. I am a dog. Although it is a great saint's cultivation, it is really not possible, even sweeping the floor is fine. But they are real people. 2 figures at the level of great saints. If it were placed in those holy places, it would definitely be an ancestor-level existence. How dare you make them sweep the floor? Is there any mistake? It's the sect leader. But Zhang San and Li Si did not have any displeasure. Instead, they accepted the instructions of the sect leader with a smile and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Seeing their figures again, they were already ordinary people with restrained breath sweeping the floor within the Dao Tian sect. This is what Yi Xian asked them to do. If you want to sweep the floor, you have to hide your cultivation, otherwise when you recruit disciples in the future, you will find 2 great saints sweeping the floor and not be scared to death. At this moment, in a dense forest not far from Dao Tian's sect, several figures burst into bloodshed, wielding supreme magical tools and emitting boundless light, chasing a young man. This young man is incredibly handsome, with a transparent body and a bone on his back exploding with immortal light. Next is that pair of eyes, each with 2 pupils, captivating the mind. But at this moment, the boy's mouth was bleeding and he was running wildly. Shifeng, I think you are a member of the 15th Lord's lineage. Unexpectedly, even though you have the supreme bone, you still have to dig out your cousin's heavy pupils. Shifeng, hurry up and go back to my tribe to suffer. Otherwise, I will surely kill you today, take away your supreme bone, dig out your heavy pupils, and never be reborn. Shifeng, from today on, you are no longer a member of the Stone Clan. I will take you back to the Stone Clan and try the punishment of eye gouging. The 3 assassins have a ferocious face, each with a deep scar on their face, and at the same time, they carry a magical tool that bursts with immortal light in their hands. Ha ha ha. Every word is my fault. When my cousin took advantage of my parents' absence to dig up my supreme bone, where were you? Now that my cousin has been defeated by me, I am just using the same means to become stronger. Am I wrong? For thousands of years, if you want to survive in the Stone Clan, isn't it always like this? Shifeng laughed heartily. 3 days ago, he was scheduled to fight by his cousin. However, he didn't expect his cousin to steal the heavenly god artifact from the clan and want to destroy him. He then dug out the supreme bone and married it into his body. However, at the last moment, his supreme bone merged with his own stone clan bloodline, and he seized the heavenly god's magical weapon, ultimately inflicting a heavy blow on his cousin. Since my cousin doesn't care about brotherhood, he also uses the same method to gouge out his cousin's heavy pupils and then transfer them to his own eyes. He has double pupils, and can see the fog for 100 miles ahead clearly. At the same time, he also possesses the supreme bone, innate divine power, and unlimited Taoist techniques. The three assassins cannot do anything to him in a short period of time. Boom! However, at this moment, a fairy light rose from the three assassins, and Shifeng's face was instantly filled with fear. Heavenly divine magical tool. Shifeng was shocked. Even though his bloodline and supreme bone could activate divine tools, how could this compare to the elderly in the three tribes? That is an ancient mirror, with a broken corner, but also revealing extraordinary power. It's just one shot, a dazzling impact that can destroy everything. Shifeng triggers the supreme bone, entwined with supreme runes, transforming into a giant shield. Boom boom boom. However, the power of the divine tool was extremely terrifying, directly shattering the shield and instantly hitting Shifeng's abdomen. A bloody big hole appeared in Shifeng's abdomen. Boom! Another blow, the heavenly divine artifact vibrated, countless immortal lights shot down, each one piercing through the void and annihilating everything. Damn it, was your magical tool your toy that day? Shifeng roared and directly accelerated his evasion speed. However, the power of divine magical tools was so terrifying that they instantly pierced through his shoulders, leaving bloodstains that were shocking. Shifeng, today even though the three of us risk being backfired by magical weapons, we will still take you down. The three assassins continued to activate the heavenly god's magical tools, and several immortal lights transformed into divine killing swords, flying toward Shifeng. Poo 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 poo. Shifeng's whole body was pierced, his hands and feet were covered in blood and flesh. In the end, his supreme bone was hit and shattered, and he finally collapsed. I, Shifeng, am born with the supreme bone and invincible for eternity. Today, I have the double eye, which can penetrate heaven and earth, see through people's hearts. How can the great way be merciless? Shifeng coughed up blood, his body trembling. He activated his double pupils, revealing everything within 100 miles. At this moment, a picturesque scene resembling a paradise came into view, clearly resembling that of the Taoist heavenly sect. In Shifeng's eyes, it was a place where immortals lived, with a unique peak and immortal veins. If a fairy saves me, I will forever worship him as my master. Shifeng was seriously injured, and his supreme bone could not be repaired. His life was about to be cut off, but he had not given up yet. He kept muttering to himself, hoping that the people of that immortal mountain could come to his rescue. Xuan Yen, don't sleep. Who's talking? Just as Shifeng was about to fall asleep, a voice echoed through the mountains and forests. The three assassins were all stunned. Xuan Yen, I see that your bones are amazing, your eyes are divine, and you are a good material for cultivating immortality. Would you like to worship me as your teacher, and I will take action to save you? The voice appears here, but no figure is seen. Shifeng was overjoyed and believed that the person from that immortal mountain must have taken action. He was saved. Master! Help me, he shouted hard. Okay. Rhubarb, go. Woo! Woo! As the words fell, a burst of penetrating dog barking was heard, transforming into powerful sound waves flying towards the three assassins. Puff! A killer was unable to dodge in time and was instantly shocked to death, bleeding directly from his 7 orifices. What kind of ghost? The remaining 2 assassins looked bewildered, and the heavenly god's magical tools had dimmed a lot. Woo! Woo! Another barking dog. The mountains and forests in this area were shaken, as if time had been forbidden. The void was shattered directly, and terrifying sound waves swept away, killing another assassin. What? The last one widened their eyes and their spine instantly became cold, directly activating the heavenly god's magical tool. Because he couldn't see the big yellow dog, he went straight to kill Xuan. Woo! Another barking of a dog, the assassin flew and exploded into a mist of blood, dying even more tragically. Then the sound wave continued to attack and destroy everything, and the divine tool exploded directly. Lying down. Lying down. Xuan was so startled that he shouted loudly, his whole body covered in sweat and hair being blown open. With a creak, I fainted again due to excessive surprise. Chapter 5. Supreme Bone, Nirvana Pill, Enlightenment Tea Tree. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding, congratulations to the host for accepting Xuan as his disciple and obtaining a super large gift package. Upon hearing the sound of rewards from the system, Yi Xian appeared impatiently in the sky, wanting to see what kind of qualifications this disciple truly possessed. First disciple. Xuan. Origin. The heavenly emperor who ruled for eternity. After endless years, we are defeated by the Great Terror. We use the technique of transforming ourselves into others to travel the long river of time. Every drop of blood is like a heavenly emperor, traveling through the mortal world. We are waiting to return from the long river of time, cultivate ourselves to transcend, and annihilate the Great Terror. At present, this drop of blood is a genius of the Stone Clan, with a talent of over 10 stars and a cultivation of building the foundation peak. Experience. Born with the supreme bone, he was almost dug up by his cousin Xuan 3 days ago. Xuan retaliated by digging out Xuan's double pupils and grafting them into his own body. After being discovered by his clan members, he sent 3 assassins from the Golden Elixir realm to pursue him. Yi Xian. Looking at the previous introduction, Yi Xian still looked shocked. Until he saw the introduction later, Yi Xian looked bewildered. This plot is not right. Shouldn't it be the excavation of Xuan's supreme bone? Xuan actually dug out someone's double pupils. Yi Xian discovered that Xuan's double pupils were intact, but his supreme bone was shattered. His entire body had 108 blood holes pierced by divine artifacts, and his meridians were broken, leaving only one breath. The Supreme One is already invincible, why borrow others' eyes again? Yi Xian smiled helplessly and said, Xuan should have this calamity. He took Xuan away and returned to the Daotian sect. System, open the super big gift package. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining a Great Nirvana Pill. The Great Nirvana Pill has the effect of repairing meridians and reshaping cultivation, making life and death human flesh and bones white. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the Supreme Dharma. Supreme Dharma. It is the strongest treasure technique for refining body and bone for eternity. Practitioners can forge their physical body into the strongest body for eternity. Ding, how can 108 immortal veins be left bare? Reward the host 108 Wudao tea trees and decorate the immortal veins. Seeing the reward from the system, Yi Xian, the great emperor, was stunned. Is it so much to receive rewards for any disciple? It's really like a cow flying on a plane, it's so amazing. Especially for the last item, this time it's not like the last time when critical hits were drawn in a lottery to release the immortal vein, but rather giving away as many Wudao tea trees as there are in the immortal vein. Wudao tea tree. As the name suggests, it can produce Wudao tea, which can be used to brew tea, comprehend the Tao, and imagine the world. I'm a bean. Yi Xian was shocked. There were a total of 108 Wudao tea trees in the world. Maybe there aren't as many of them, right? Not to mention the Tianyuan continent, there are probably not many trees in those forbidden areas. Yi Xian manifested the tea tree, and in an instant, 108 towering trees rose from among the 108 immortal veins at a speed visible to the naked eye. Woo! Woo! Rhubarb was stunned, and the dog's eyes widened even larger than an egg. I dare not imagine at all. This sect leader first created 100 immortal veins, day and night, to create immortal energy for the Dao Tian sect. Now we're getting another Wudao tea tree on each immortal vein. That's the Wudao tea tree. Even though it is a rare Wudao tea tree in all heavens and realms. If my dog could pee under the Wudao tea tree, it wouldn't be in vain. The Rhubarb shouted loudly, ran to the first immortal vein, and then jumped under the tea tree of Wudao, starting to enjoy themselves happily. Rhubarb, my tree. Oh, forget it, it's only natural for dogs to pee under the roots of the tree. Yi Xian waved his hand. Kawudao tea trees can't bear it. The rhubarb started to urinate, which was endless and turned into a pool of water, blackening the nearby elixirs. 108 Wudao tea trees couldn't bear it anymore and quickly called for a strong wind to dispel the smell of rhubarb. I even felt like I was endowed with spirituality, and even learned to cover my mouth like humans. Yi Xian widened his eyes. After the manifestation of the immortal pulse, Yi Xian gave Shifeng the great Nirvana pill to take, and in less than a breath, his wounds quickly fused, and the shattered supreme bone slowly closed in. Shifeng's whole body burst out with 9 colors of immortal light, crystal clear, like an immortal fetus that never appeared in the world. He is truly the heavenly emperor who will be able to rule for eternity in the future. This kid's special effects are even better than mine. Yi Xian exclaimed. After a moment, Shifeng woke up. In a daze, a dark yellow dog face approached and startled him. Not my brother, who are you? Shifeng jumped up in fear, thinking it was some monster from the underworld coming to claim his life. It wasn't until he saw clearly that it was a dog that he breathed a sigh of relief and said, "So it's a dog." Woo! Woo! Upon hearing Shifeng's words, De Huang shouted arrogantly and shook his head to hint at Yi Xian next to him. Shifeng was taken aback and quickly knelt down towards Yi Xian, shouting loudly, "Thank you for saving your life, senior." Are you still called a senior? Yi Xian smiled. Shifeng was taken aback again. Thank you, master, for saving your life. Okay, obedient disciple, from now on you will be my first true transmission. Yi Xian waved his hand and a gust of strong wind lifted Shifeng up, smiling with a friendly expression on his face. Shifeng was somewhat surprised, obviously knowing that this strong wind was brought by his master. I just didn't expect master to have such a means, and then he waved his hand to make him stand up uncontrollably. Is it possible that the master is already a primitive baby monster? Hush! I dare not imagine at all, I have worshipped a primordial baby monster myself. No wonder master was able to rescue him from the top 3 experts of the golden elixir before. Shifeng's expression was excited, even happier than the old sow from the neighboring Wang family giving birth. Moreover, not only that, he is actually the first true disciple of his master's family. From then on, master he will receive the second and third true biographies from his elderly family. No matter how talented he is, he must shout out to him. Senior brother. Great. That's even more satisfying than being a young master in the Stone Clan. Master Xie, Shifeng will definitely practice well and not disappoint your expectations. Shifeng clasped his fists and said respectfully. Alright, Rhubarb, take him to the sect first to familiarize yourself with it. Yi Xian said to the yellow dog. De Huang nodded his dog's head and then swaggered out of the main hall of the sect with Shifeng. So dazzling. The dazzling attic, are these all immortal trees? What a crystal clear brick. Digging one can feed a stone tribe. As soon as he left the main hall of the sect, Shifeng's eyes lit up. What did he see? The attic, even more brilliant than the imperial palace, has every piece of cast wood that is crystal clear, emitting a brilliant divine light. And there are rows of spotless white floors, each tile is an existence that the outside world cannot find. Mine, it's all mine. Shifeng's eyes were shining, and he took out a shovel from behind, trying to dig away the bricks on the ground. Click. Click. In the blink of an eye, he took out another shining golden saw and worked hard to saw a pillar in the main hull. Huang. You want to die, that's the main beam. De Huang was indignant and quickly stopped, biting into Shifeng's pants and forcefully pulling towards other places. Shortly thereafter, Shifeng was dragged onto a high mountain. Immortal. Immortal. Immortal dog. Is this Immortal? Fairyland. Shifeng widened his eyes. In front of him, there were 108 magnificent and boundless mountain ranges, each of which was crawling like an ancient giant dragon, occasionally making a rumbling sound. The majestic immortal energy fills the space between heaven and earth, and the hurricane blows like a vast sea of spiritual energy, setting off towering waves. The waves are magnificent, as vast as the sea. Wait. What is that? At the moment of shock, Shifeng looked out and found a towering tree planted in the middle of each mountain range. Every leaf is crystal clear and has different visions, with the Milky Way pouring backwards, stars exploding, and the scene of the birth of the universe's vast wilderness. Lie down. Groove. Terrifying. It's really terrifying. Shifeng's chin dropped in shock, and he could even fit an egg in his mouth. His eyes widened like copper bells. Villagers, you can see that you have never seen anything in the world. This is the tea tree of enlightenment, which absorbs the essence of heaven and earth, and the elixir of immortality. It is the thing that the great emperors must contend for in ancient and modern times. De Huang pursed his lips. What? Upon hearing these words, Shifeng was once again greatly shocked. This damn thing is actually the Wudao tea tree. The Wudao tea tree that exists in ancient books. The elixir of immortality is a must. Have item for emperors of ancient and modern times. He actually saw it today, and even saw 108 trees. 108 trees. What concept is that? What the hell is this place? Pop. Shifeng slapped himself hard. It hurts so much, it's not just a dream. Alright, you've finished looking at this last place. There's nothing else to look at. Let's go back. The sect leader is still waiting and wants to teach you the Dharma. The yellow dog turned around and ran away. Shifeng paused and his eyes instantly burst into golden light, which was so exciting. He is happier than the children of the old sow from the neighboring Wang family. Having witnessed these 108 immortal veins and 108 Wudao tea trees, he finally knew what the legendary immortal mountain was. This is called Xianshan, and the sect leader is called Xianren. Isn't the Taoist teachings passed down by immortals allowing him to take off directly? After speaking, he turned around and followed the big yellow dog, running towards Yi Xian again. Chapter 6. Double Eye Supreme, Yi Xian spreads the Dharma, and the Stone Clan is angered. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bang bang. After coming to Yi Xian's side again, Shifeng knocked his head 3 times with lightning speed. Master, please accept my disciple Shifeng's bow. Shifeng shouted loudly. Yi Xian nodded in satisfaction and then asked De Huang to take a look at the sect in advance, mainly to show Shifeng the strength of the sect. Let him worship this master with peace of mind, so that he can also focus on learning treasure techniques in the future. Yi Xian smiled and said, Good disciple, you carry the supreme bone and even dig out your cousin's eyes. You are a cruel person. Shifeng was taken aback and quickly kowtowed again, fearing that his master would expel him from the sect because of his ruthlessness. He said, Master, my disciple is really helpless. My cousin is going to dig up my bones. If I don't take action, there will still be another time. Yi Xian smiled and nodded, satisfied with his statement. Seeing the master's response, Feng was somewhat surprised and asked, "Master, don't you blame my disciple for being ruthless?" Yi Xian was taken aback for a moment and smiled, saying, "You are ruthless and ruthless out of self-protection. Solving your worries, I like you. Master Xie understands." Feng kowtowed and thanked, feeling excited in his heart. It turned out that Master Feng was such a noble immortal, and he had worshipped Master Feng correctly. Yi Xian lifted Feng and pointed his finger at his forehead. That was the path of the supreme Dharma, which Yi Xian passed on to him. Boom! Feng's head roared as he accepted the supreme Dharma. His eyes widened and he realized the terror of the supreme Dharma. Tuer, this is the supreme Dharma, the strongest treasure technique for forging one's body. You should practice diligently and not be lazy. Yi Xian advised. I will definitely not disappoint my master's expectations. Feng was overjoyed, he could feel that the supreme Dharma was stronger than all the Dharma he had practiced before. Secondly, when the supreme Dharma wandered through the meridians and bones just now, he could feel the resonance between the supreme Dharma and the supreme bone. That's the supreme bone. The teachings passed down by the master resonated with the supreme bone. The terror of the supreme Dharma is evident. Your supreme bone has been shattered, we need to find a way to repair it. There are 108 immortal veins and 108 enlightenment trees in the sect. Choose a place and use the supreme Dharma to attract immortal chi, baptize the flesh, and repair the supreme bone. Yi Xian said again. Yes. Master. Feng was overjoyed and quickly nodded in agreement. Woo! Woo! Later, he rode the wind and selected the most powerful immortal vein, then jumped onto the top of the Wudao tea tree and began to sit up in a cross-legged position. Boom! In a moment, the immortal light erupted above this immortal vein, and the sound of bone vibrations echoed through heaven and earth. De Huang looked at the young man sitting in the immortal light, frowning slightly and murmuring, "Master, how do I feel about this guy? It seems like I've seen him somewhere before." Yi Xuanrua pondered, even though he knew why Rhubarb would say this sentence. Feng. 80,000 years ago, you were originally a dog raised by his side. Why are you so familiar with it? Master, you said I was the first to enter the sect. Shouldn't Feng call me brother for life? Seeing that Yi Xian didn't respond, De Huang proudly turned to another topic. Puff. Yi Xiangang drank a freshly brewed cup of Wudao tea and sprayed it out in one gulp, looking at the rhubarb in disbelief. How dare you let Feng call you big brother? I'm afraid you can't bear this cause and effect. Master, I feel that my supreme bone is slowly being repaired. But it can never reach perfection. After a moment, Feng, who had completed a round of cultivation, ran over to report to Yi Xian. Well, not bad, it's not perfect. Through the perception of the emperor, Yi Xian discovered that although the supreme bone had been repaired, there were still tiny cracks that seemed to be irreparable. A broken mirror cannot be round again. Bones are the same. Yi Xian suddenly realized. He remembered the dictatorial heavenly emperor for eternity, so he said to Feng thoughtfully, "My disciple, have you ever heard that wildfires cannot burn out and spring breeze blows again?" Oh. After listening, Feng was taken aback and lost in thought. In a moment, he understood what Yi Xian meant. Master, what you mean is for me to break the supreme bone and continue to conceive, rebirth from Nirvana, that's perfect. Feng clenched his fist and his eyes lit up. Well, a child can be taught. Yi Xian nodded in satisfaction. But you should know that after losing this bone, the probability of rebirth will be very small, but once reborn, it can be broken and then stand, becoming stronger than it. Yi Xian continued, saying that the pros and cons of this matter should still be told to him. Is the probability very small? Feng squinted his eyes, recalling all the ups and downs of this time, and began to tighten his teeth and fists. He said, "Isn't it just a bone? What can we do without it?" Shifeng's impassioned words impressed even the Rhubarb, and even Yi Xian nodded. Finally. "Isn't it still double pupils?" Shifeng chuckled humbly. Yi Xian. Dot. Rhubarb. Dot. "Alright, master, I'm going to practice now." After speaking, Shifeng turned around and ran up to a Wudao tea tree, starting to absorb immortal energy and then attempting to break the supreme bone. Only Yi Xian, who looked at each other with disdain, remained. Just as Yi Xian was spreading the Dharma. At this moment, inside the Stone Clan city mansion, an old man with white hair dancing wildly, wrinkled skin, but full of vitality in blood sat on a stone chair, his eyes tightly closed. His name is Shi Tian, and he is the current head of the Stone Clan. Report. Big. Big things are not good anymore. At this moment, an old man with strong cultivation stumbled into the mansion and reported. Pop. Shi Tian slapped him directly and said angrily, "What are you panicking about? I didn't see that I was practicing. You're so old, you're not afraid to dodge to your waist." The old man who reported the incident choked up as he covered his blood-red face and said, "Clan leader, I came to tell you that something big happened. To send the 3 assassins who killed Shifeng, they died." What? Shi Tian shook and instantly opened his eyes, shooting a sharp cold light into the sky. "Is the news correct?" Shi Tian angrily said. "Clan leader, I will personally investigate and there will be no mistake." Near a mountain gate called Daotian Sect, 2 assassins died from bleeding from their 7 orifices. One of them only left a pool of blood mist behind. And the sub-mirror of the mother and child dragon searching mirror was shattered by the shock. I think someone from the Daotian Sect took action to save Shifeng. The old man reported, trembling with excitement. Pop. The result is another slap. Shi Tian directly reported the old man to Fan Fei. "You're crazy. Daotian Sect was destroyed by Famiao Sect 3 years ago, you forgot." Shi Tian roared angrily. "Clan leader. You also forgot that the Ethereal Sect was also destroyed a few days ago," the old man said wrongly. Upon hearing the destruction of the Ethereal Sect, Shi Tian trembled. The boundless sword shadow of that day, naturally made him feel its power. "I heard that several ancestors of the great cult rushed to investigate, but found nothing." Shi Tian shook his head and wondered why he was thinking about this. What does the destruction of the Ethereal Sect have to do with him? Now let's take a look where Shifeng is. Go immediately to retrieve the mother mirror of the dragon searching mirror. If Shifeng was really saved by the Daotian Sect, send someone immediately to destroy them. Shi Tian snorted coldly as he brushed his sleeves. Yes. After a moment, a simple mirror was taken out, which was exactly the same as the magic tool of the god who killed Shifeng, but the charm of this magic tool was more powerful, which formed ripples and spread out. Shi Tian activated the magic weapon, and the mother mirror was connected to the heart of the child mirror. A glow flew out, instantly capturing the scene of the child mirror chasing Shifeng that day. Everything ahead is still normal. Just as Shifeng was about to die, a few dog barks suddenly came from him, killing several assassins and shattering Zijing. Shi Tian was shocked. My whole head is big. His grandmother, 3 strong men from the Golden Core realm, were scared to death. Did you get it wrong? Is dog barking so scary? Shi Tian went crazy. A few barks of the dog caused them to lose 3 powerful warriors in the Golden Elixir realm. It's really annoying. After a moment, he used the blood of the Stone Clan to pull the blood of Shifeng. The 2 resonated through the mother mirror, and the scene could only depict Shifeng's current situation. This kid's injury surprisingly healed. Shi Tian was shocked. He continued to activate the magic tool, hoping to observe the world where Shi Feng was located through his bloodline. However, a terrifying sound came from the Mother Mirror. Have you gained impatience by daring to spy on the disciples of the Dao Tian sect? Wu. Words fall. A dog barking came from the Mother Mirror. With a click, the Mother Mirror shattered to the ground in an instant. Mother Mirror. My Mother Mirror. Shi Tian widened his eyes, then he became furious and roared, "Damn it! How dare you shatter my Stone Clan's Mother Mirror? Dao Tian sect, Dao Tian sect. Someone. Call the elder, second elder, and third elder who are far away. Our sect is about to destroy the Dao Tian sect." The terrifying roar spread throughout the mansion of Shiguo, and everyone's hearts trembled. They had never seen the clan leader explode with such great anger before. I'm afraid the sect called Dao Tian sect will be finished soon. However, at this moment, a yellow-brown figure was lying flat in front of the door of Dao Tian sect. Even a small divine artifact, you dare to use the power of your bloodline to spy on the eldest disciple of the sect leader. You are really getting impatient. Sigh. The talking dog is none other than Rhubarb, with a dog-tail grass in its mouth, completely indifferent. After passing on the Dharma, Yi Xian naturally knew that someone was peeping at them with treasures, but the Rhubarb had already intimidated those people. I didn't want to take care of it myself, but instead drank the tea brewed with Wudao tea on my own. Chapter 7. Divine Phoenix Holy Body, 10-star talent, second disciple. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Princess, are you really not afraid of being known by your majesty when you run out like this? In a dense forest not far from Dao Tian sect, two beautiful women are leisurely walking. One of them, a mischievous ancient spirit, had a pair of long braids on his head, tied with a red scarf, and was wearing a red skirt with a white gauze skirt as the base. Her skin was tender, and her two shiny black eyes shone like jewels, curiously admiring everything on the roadside. Her name is Yenlinger. She came out this time to relax, but in fact, she still has a big plan in mind. That's the young master Shi Feng who is looking for the Stone Clan. As for why we need to find him, we need to start with Yenlinger's background. She was born in the kingdom of Yen and was the daughter of the current emperor of Yen from birth, enjoying great wealth and never lacking cultivation resources. So much so that now, at the age of less than 10, she has reached the pinnacle of cultivation in the golden elixir. This is in the entire southern wilderness, they are all among the top geniuses. Not only that, she also has another identity. She is not from this world, but from a blue planet. It is a blooming flower of our motherland. She usually enjoys traveling, watching dramas, reading novels, especially romance novels, but occasionally she also reads fantasy novels, especially a cultivation novel about genius flow. The reason why I like it is because the protagonist in it has been unparalleled since childhood, but he was forcibly dug up and grafted onto someone else, causing him to droop and die of illness. But after recovering from his illness, he walked out of the wilderness and was reborn from the fire. Even if the enemy in front arrived and all his relatives sacrificed, he still turned his back to all beings and killed all enemies in the world. The final decision will last forever. Yenlinger was deeply moved. And, to my surprise, just half a month ago, after a fall, she crossed into the world of this book. This protagonist is called Shi Feng. There are also the Yen Kingdom, the Southern Wilderness, and the Stone Clan. All of this is so real. Not only that, her time traveling is also considered, and she has become one of the female leads. Yenlinger. That female lead who Shi Feng finds most difficult to reconcile. This is also a female protagonist who has touched her countless times. Now she has actually become her, yes, a flame spirit with only a body and another soul. Now she is very clear that according to the development of the plot, Shi Feng should be in the Stone Clan and is about to be dug up as the Supreme Bone. So she quickly ran out to try to stop it, but she didn't expect to arrive at the place where the Stone Clan was located and find out that this had already happened. The Stone Clan has sent people to pursue and kill Xuan. So she chased towards the direction where Xuan was being chased, hoping to find him and save him. Xiaoqing, as I've said before, once you leave the palace, don't call me a princess. Be careful not to expose your identity. Yan Linger pursed her lips and said. The woman who was called Xiaoqing nodded, but she also said, but miss, your majesty. Alright, don't mention father to me anymore. I'm so annoyed. I haven't spent enough time in the palace for the past 10 years, have I? Yan Linger rolled her eyes. Since becoming Yan Linger, everything except her soul has affected her, and she naturally dislikes the fact that her father has not allowed her to leave the palace since childhood. Oh, I got it, miss. Xiaoqing murmured softly and didn't speak anymore. She lowered her head and followed behind Yan Linger. After a moment, the two of them walked out of the dense forest and came towards a fairy mountain. A row of white jade steps extended into the divine mountain, with endless charm. Xiaoqing, what is this place? Yan Linger's beautiful eyes widened. The Immortal Mountain is mysterious, with no end in sight, incredibly vast, but there is an extraordinary white jade staircase with a divine charm. There must be some sect settling down here. Miss, there should be a sect up there. Do you want to go up and take a look? Xiaoqing was obviously also shocked by the long and deep white jade staircase, and the sect stationed here must be extraordinary. Okay, go up and pay attention to your words, don't expose my identity, Yan Linger warned. After speaking, the two of them walked up the white jade stairs step by step, heading towards the depths of the Immortal Mountain. In another moment, a huge gate embedded with two huge green dragons appeared in front of us. The two of us were stunned and couldn't help but look towards the gate. Tao. Heaven. Sect. Yan Linger paused one by one, and every time she uttered a sentence, she felt an invisible Tao rhyme impact, which was shocking. Is it a secluded mountain gate? Yan Linger and Xiaoqing looked at each other. Ding! A genius with a 10-star talent has been detected outside the sect door. Trigger the mission, please go to the host to recruit disciples, and you will receive a super large gift package. Yi Xian, who was drinking tea in the yard, was taken aback by his 10-star talent. Are they the two girls outside the door? He is now in the realm of the Great Emperor, and can be seen from a distance of thousands of miles. Naturally, he already knew that someone was coming outside the door. However, he could see that the highest realm among these two girls was only the Golden Core realm, which posed no threat. And they had no hatred towards their sect, so Yi Xian ignored it. Xiaofeng, go and see what those two people outside the door are up to. Yi Xian picked up his teacup and shook the Wudao tea in it, saying. Xiaofeng was taken aback upon hearing this. Is there someone outside the door? Master, you can sense it all. What cultivation is this? Perhaps we have already reached the realm of the heavenly cave. Explore the rules of heaven and earth, and overlook all things on the continent. Yes, Master. Xiaofeng, who was practicing, quickly stopped practicing and walked towards the door of the sect. But as he approached the door, the first thing he saw was a yellow-brown figure crawling on the ground. Rhubarb is slacking off again. Xiaofeng was angry and then sneakily walked behind the Huang, who was still spitting out his nose and bubbles. Sleeping again. What's going on? Do you want to do it or not? Xiaofeng suddenly roared loudly. Who trespassed on my Taoist heavenly sect? Rhubarb was startled and panicked as he scanned the surroundings, thinking that a strong enemy was approaching. It's you. Xiaofeng. What are you yelling for at noon? Woo woof. Suck and suck. Xiaofeng smiled and hinted that there was someone at the door. At this moment, Yan Linger and Xiaoqing were attracted by the noise here. Ah, what a lovely little dog. Yen Linger's sympathy overflowed, she squatted down and even took out a bone directly. Suck and suck. She shook her bones and sucked, attracting the rhubarb to come in. When the rhubarb saw the bone, he slammed his mouth, his eyes flickered, and he ran over with a thud. Woo! Here! Yen Linger threw herself into the air, and Rhubarb made a perfect leap, biting a bone. But when the rhubarb returned to the ground, he suddenly froze and thought to himself, huh? I'm a great saint, what am I doing? I'm sorry. Rhubarb throws away the bones directly. Woo woof. Then the dog barked a few more words and looked fiercely at the two outsiders. Shifeng silently supported his forehead. Little dog, we don't have any malice. Xiaoqing said in a chat. Woo woof. At this moment, Shifeng walked slowly over and said, Who are you two? Are you here to find my master? Your master. Yen Linger was taken aback. Could it be that he was referring to the leader of the Daotian sect? She smiled and replied, Senior brother, have you ever heard of a person named Shifeng? Shifeng. De Huang and Shifeng looked at each other. To be honest, miss, I am Shifeng, the eldest disciple of Daotian sect. Shifeng scratched his head. What? Yen Linger's body shook. Are you Shifeng? That's not right. In the previous novel, it was not mentioned that Shifeng was the eldest disciple of the Daotian sect. Moreover, judging from his cultivation, it is only the initial cultivation of the golden elixir. According to the plot of his past life, Shifeng has already had his supreme bone dug out, his cultivation is completely useless, and he must be covered in injuries all over. It is impossible to restore his cultivation in a short period of time. Even if you recover from your injury, in his past life, he is only building a foundation and cultivating himself now. How could he have been stripped of his bones and even promoted to a higher level? If he didn't deceive himself, then there's only one guess. The same name and surname. Oh, I'm sorry, maybe this senior brother is not the one we're looking for, Shifeng, Yen Linger said with a smile. Chapter 8. Searching for the Heavenly Emperor, Princess of the Flame Country, and the Stunned Traveler. You are listening at novelfull.audio. He is Shifeng. But at this moment, echoes echoed from the mountains, and it was none other than Yi Xian's voice. After listening for a moment, Yen Linger smiled and said, He's not the Shifeng I'm looking for. He's the stone maple you're looking for. At this moment, Yi Xian exclaimed loudly, Why doesn't this little kid believe in himself? Yen Linger has white eyes. How did you get around me? But she wasn't angry because this person only heard their voice and didn't see anyone, probably a strong person. Please show up, senior, said Yen Linger. Yi Xian sighed and slowly walked out of the mountain gate, carrying a gentle breeze that stirred the hearts of Yen Linger and Xiaoqing. Wow! How handsome! Xiaoqing glanced at Yi Xian and excitedly tugged at Yen Linger's elbow. Yen Linger was also stunned, attracted by Yi Xian's handsome appearance. I have never seen a man like a banished fairy, with a delicate face, tight facial features, and warm eyes. Every step I take, there is a hint of charm, and his temperament is extraordinary. He is the stone maple you are looking for, the stone maple of the Stone Clan, who almost had his supreme bone dug up. Yi Xian said lightly. The reason why he knows the origin of Yen Linger is because he had already provided detailed information about Yen Linger when the system released the task. Yen Linger. 10-star talent, Divine Phoenix Holy Body. Origin. From a blue planet, also known as Yen Linger, she was reborn as the Palace Lord of Yen Kingdom due to an accident. However, she still retains her memories from a previous life. After reading a novel about the legend of the Heavenly Emperor, the protagonist is also named Shifeng. She was determined to pursue Shifeng and become his wife. Yen Linger. Yen Guo. The legend of the Heavenly Emperor. Isn't he very familiar with this plot? So, when Yi Xian saw Yan Linger, she immediately expressed her thoughts. Dispelled her doubts that Shifeng was not Shifeng. Yan Linger was somewhat shocked upon hearing this. Is it really Shifeng from the Stone Clan? Is that stone maple carrying the supreme bone? So, why wasn't he injured? Yan Linger looked at Shifeng and said. Why get injured? Everyone was puzzled. Only Yi Xian understood, perhaps what she was talking about was the excavation of Shifeng's supreme bone. Shifeng also suddenly realized and smiled, saying, this girl did get injured a few days ago, but she will recover soon. Yan Linger is puzzled. Will it be good soon? That's the excavation of the supreme bone. She obviously couldn't believe it. It was the master's method of giving me a great Nirvana pill directly, and I was restored. Shifeng said calmly. But Yan Linger didn't calm down anymore. She instantly widened her eyes and stared at him with an incredulous expression on her face. Great Nirvana pill. The legendary Great Nirvana pill, that kind of life and death Nirvana pill with human flesh and white bones. She was inexplicably shocked, the Great Nirvana pill, something that has only been seen in ancient books. Legend has it that before the end of time, there was a great emperor with a near longevity who was fortunate enough to obtain a great Nirvana pill and live out the second one. What concept is that? Directly having a second life. Equivalent to a resurrection armor. Yan Linger is a bit confused. It's clear that this one is not in that novel. It was only after Shifeng's supreme bone was taken away that he was sent to a mysterious village to be saved. How can you become a senior disciple of a Dao Tian sect and even take a great Nirvana pill now? Perhaps it's because of this senior. Yan Linger looked at Yi Xian, and strands of rhyme still rushed towards her face. She immediately concluded that it must be him, because he changed the direction of the plot. And just now, this senior awakened that confused her with just one sentence, indicating that he must have already known what she was thinking. Senior knows she's coming to find Shifeng. Does the senior also know that she crossed over from that blue planet? Yan Linger was horrified in her heart. If that were the case, what level had the senior reached? Heavenly gods. Or a quasi-saint? Perhaps he is a true saint. Yan Linger pays respects to the senior. After thinking to herself, Yan Linger dared not stand anymore and quickly clenched her fists at Yi Xian. Well, since you've come all the way, why don't you go into the mountain gate and sit down? Yi Xian smiled and nodded, feeling very pleased with Yan Linger. Not only because she is Yan Linger, Shifeng's intentions are difficult to calm, but also because she has traveled through time. Just like him. In the dark, Yi Xian had a feeling of seeing his fellow townsmen, and that homesickness was indescribable. But Yi Xian is not sure if they are blue stars from the same time and space. He doesn't want to reveal his identity. Is it really possible? Yan Linger and Shao Qing were both stunned. From the moment they stepped onto the white jade staircase, they felt that this immortal mountain was extraordinary. It seems that the spiritual energy permeating the air is more intense. Even after arriving at the gate, they could feel something floating out of the mountain gate, countless times better than outside. Of course we can. Our heavenly sect has just been rebuilt and we haven't received any foreign guests for a long time, Yi Xian smiled. Reconstruction. Yan Linger was taken aback. Has this sect been destroyed before? She couldn't imagine that such a powerful sect would also be destroyed one day. Even if Shifeng finished listening, it was still a shock. I didn't expect the name of the sect to be Dao Tian sect. Since he joined the sect, he has been busy with cultivation and has forgotten to ask for the name of the sect. But originally it was just a sect name, he didn't care, but when he heard it was the Dao Tian sect, he was greatly shocked. As early as 3 years ago, the news of the destruction of the Dao Tian sect by the Phantom sect spread throughout thousands of miles. Although the strength of the Dao Tian sect was far inferior to that of the ethereal sect at that time, it was also a third-rate sect with the existence of the Dongtian realm. After a moment, Shi Feng and Yi Xian led Yan Linger and Xiaoqing into the door, leaving only De Huang and a dog to guard the door in place. When you enter the door, a majestic immortal aura rushed towards Yan Linger and her two companions, causing a great shock, especially Xiaoqing, who could feel the intense impact on her meridians. She tried to inhale and refine these immortal energies. Boom! After a moment, a powerful breath gushed out of Xiaoqing's body. You broke through the foundation. Yan Linger widened her eyes and broke through the foundation as soon as she entered the door. This spiritual energy was too strong. Yi Xian glanced at Xiaoqing and shook his head helplessly. Xiaoqing only has a 5-star talent and is not suitable for being his disciple, otherwise he would have accepted it. Two girls, have a cup of tea first, and I'll take you to a better place later. Shi Feng has already poured the Wudao tea. What a fragrant tea! As soon as Xiaoqing finished breaking through, he couldn't help but smell the aroma of Wudao tea and was shocked. Thank you, senior. Yan Linger said. Then she started drinking the cup of Wudao tea. In an instant, the tea turned into a sweet and nourishing taste buds, with a rich aroma filling the nose, and strands of terrifying Daoyun began to flow through the meridians of the whole body. What is this? Yan Linger was stunned. Even though she was the lord of the Flame Kingdom Palace, she had never tasted the Wudao tea with endless Taoist charm. She can feel that this tea is slowly improving her physique and nourishing her meridians. This is Wudao tea, the elixir of immortality. There are many in the family, so it's not worth mentioning. Shi Feng smiled and waved his hand. Gollum. Yan Linger's pupils suddenly shrank, almost spitting out the tea she drank, but she swallowed it so precious again. Wudao tea. Oh my goodness. These are all things from ancient books, the elixir of immortality, even his father doesn't have it. And according to Shi Feng, what are the many sects in this sect? Are you playing with your sister? What are the many immortal elixirs in the legendary family? Then this sect is definitely a hidden world entity. Chapter 9. Pick anywhere. Sending off 100 pounds, the strong are coming. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Xiao Feng, I will take Miss Yen to pick a few pounds of Wudao tea later. Yi Xian said softly. What he said was so natural, but it was deafening to hear Yan Linger. How many pounds? How many pounds do you want to give me this thing? How much do you need? She suddenly felt a little flattered. She had never met this senior before, and she didn't expect to give herself a few pounds of Wudao tea as a gift shortly after we met. It seems that in the eyes of the senior, this precious Wudao tea in the mortal world is just an ordinary tea ingredient in daily life. How can I make such a generous gift from my senior? Yan Linger is a bit dazed. Let's go, girl. I'll also take you to see the heritage of our Daotian sect. Shi Feng, who was already ripe, directly pulled Yan Linger towards the 108 immortal veins. Yan Linger was a bit shy, but she didn't show any resistance towards Shi Feng. After all, the person in front of her was the man who later became decisive for eternity. Along the way, Yan Linger was somewhat surprised. From what she saw and knew just now, she became somewhat puzzled. After visiting the sect, she became even more puzzled. Because Daotian's sect only has one dog and two people from top to bottom. There are no other disciples. Some large attics are empty. This further confirms the idea that this sect is a hidden world sect. Uncle Zhang, hello Uncle Li. At the corner, Shi Feng greeted Zhang San and Li Si who were sweeping the floor. In Shi Feng's eyes, Zhang San and Li Si were two elderly people without cultivation, who were invited by the sect to sweep the floor. But he didn't look down on them at all, instead he started talking to them since he first joined the sect. Well, Xiaofeng's health has improved a lot lately. Zhang San and Li Si smiled, without any great saint-level authority. When they saw Shifeng, they put down their brooms and greeted him. Yan Linger and Xiaoqing were taken aback, finally meeting someone else. However, these two are not disciples either, and they are getting older. They don't seem to have any cultivation, they just sweep the floor. This makes Dao Tian's sect even more desolate. Desperate to the point where Shifeng started chatting with the sweeper. Grandpa. Yan Linger also greeted with a smile. Is this little girl the second disciple received by the sect leader? Zhang San asked with a smile. Yan Linger smiled and replied, Grandpa is joking. The Dao Tian sect has a deep foundation, and the sect leader is truly immortal and powerful. Linger has no ability to worship the sect leader as his teacher. Li Si remained dumbfounded and exclaimed in surprise, No, I believe you are the holy body of the divine phoenix. There is no one like you forever. The sect leader should be able to appreciate you. Cough. As soon as this sentence was spoken, Zhang San immediately coughed, implying that Li Si's words were a bit loud. After listening for a moment, Li Si quickly smiled and answered to Yan Linger, Miss, I haven't finished sweeping the land. I'll leave first. After speaking, he and Zhang San left with a broom in hand. Yan Linger remained in place, her gaze deep, recalling what Li Si had just said. Memories of childhood come to mind. The body of the divine phoenix, as Father has said, I am the body of the divine phoenix. Only Father knows about me in the world. How could this old man know? She was deeply shocked in her heart. In her opinion, these two are just ordinary people hired to sweep the floor of the Dao Tian sect. How could you tell that she is the divine phoenix holy body? Dao Tian sect is truly a crouching tiger, hidden dragon. Yan Linger smiled bitterly in her heart. It was her clumsiness. If these two grandfathers were simply defined as ordinary people sweeping the floor, then she couldn't see just now what the cultivation of the sect leader senior was. These three must be the great powers of the hidden world. I just got tired of the mundane life and lived such a simple life. I heard it was the holy body of the divine phoenix, and Shifeng was also stunned. Although he didn't understand it, hearing this name made him feel amazing. Could it be that Master had long known that this girl was a divine phoenix and wanted to take her as his disciple, so he gave her a few pounds of Wudao tea as a token of his affection? Master, you are truly a divine being. You can tell at a glance that this girl is the holy body of the divine phoenix. After rounding the corner, we finally arrived at the back mountain where we could overlook the 108 immortal veins of the sect. Mississippi. What did I see? First of all, the stunned maid Xiaoqing's majestic fairy aura was overwhelming, almost surging into the sea. This. Yan Linger widened her eyes and looked at 108 immortal veins, unable to believe what kind of territory she had broken into. A total of 108 immortal veins, each one incredibly magnificent, with immortal energy like a sea, rolling up to the sky. And within each immortal vein, there actually exists a towering tree, towering into the clouds, with leaves in various shapes, like stars, the sea, and the Milky Way in the 9 heavens. Is this the ancient tea tree of Wudao? It is indeed as described in ancient books. Every leaf contains a way, with countless forms and immortality. Really incredible. Although she had read the novel about the heavenly emperor in her past life and wrote astonishing descriptions, she still did not find it as shocking as she had seen it herself. And, there's more than one of them. A total of 108 immortal medicine Enlightenment tea trees. If placed on any continent under the starry sky, there could not be such a dense density of Wudao tea trees. And there are 108 sects of the Dao Tian sect alone. Miss, here is 100 pounds of Wudao tea that I picked for you. While Yan Linger was meditating, Shifeng had already sent a storage bag containing 100 pounds of freshly picked Wudao tea. 100 pounds. Yan Linger and Xiaoqing widened their eyes together. The senior said to give us a few pounds, so you can give us 100 pounds. You're too polite. Puff. Yi Xian, who was drinking tea from afar in the yard, was so shocked that he immediately spat out a mouthful of tea after sensing the news here. A despicable thing. Yi Xian cursed angrily. You said you wanted to give a few pounds, but you took it upon yourself to give someone 100 pounds. If you were to build that 108 woodao tea trees like this, you would sooner or later finish them. Girl, take it. Master and I can only drink as much. Shi Feng scratched his head. Yan Linger was excited and didn't know how to describe her current mood. If you can join this heavenly sect, you can not only become Shi Feng's junior sister, but also enjoy these endless resources every day. And she is the princess of Yan Kingdom. Joining the Dao Tian sect will surely bless Yan Kingdom for generations to come. After obtaining the Wudao tea, Yan Linger and Shao Qing prepared to bid farewell to their elders and then go back to tell their father what had happened here. However, at this moment, outside the gate of Dao Tian sect, there came an astonishing barking of dogs. Let's go out and take a look. Shi Feng said. He knew that someone must have come knocking on him again, but he didn't know if this time it was a mistake or a fault. Yi Xian had long sensed that they were the three Dongtian cultivators. Listening to their words, they seemed to be coming towards Shi Feng. But he has nothing to worry about, just that watchdog has to bite the three Dongtian cultivators to death. Chapter 10. Stone Clan Visits, Rhubarb Strikes, Rabies. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Outside the gate of Dao Tian sect. 3 angry figures flew over. There are 3 elderly people, although they are old, they are as majestic as dragons, with floating beards and hair, shaped like lightning. Their skin is dry but their blood is strong, bringing a sense of awe. As soon as they landed, a terrifying aura rushed towards them, causing all 3 of them to be taken aback. Elder, is this the Dao Tian sect? Why has it become so imposing? An old man looked at the big elder walking at the front and said in confusion. Their stone clan is not too far away from the Dao Tian sect, and they have some knowledge about the downfall of the Dao Tian sect 3 years ago. Unexpectedly, in just 3 years, this heavenly sect has risen again, and the luxury level of the sect is even greater than before. Humph. It's probably the remaining sin of the Dao Tian sect. It was only after learning that the ethereal sect had been destroyed that they dared to hang the Dao Tian sect's plaque again. The elder smiled and said. Elder, do you really think this stone maple is in the Dao Tian sect? Another strong person is puzzled. They are the 3 strongest elders of the stone clan. A few days ago, they were recalled by the clan leader and heard about the incident between Shi Feng and Xuan. They were originally members of the Xuan lineage, so they must have supported Xuan. But they are not interested in this matter. Shi Feng is just a cultivator at the pinnacle of building a foundation. Even if they later learned that the several golden core cultivators sent out had all been killed, they did not take it seriously. The golden core cultivator is just a few larger subordinates in their eyes, and if they die, they will die. As long as the clan leader sends out a few early cultivators of Yuanying, if they can't reach the peak of Yuanying, they can easily capture Shi Feng back. They don't believe that the ones who rescued Shi Feng were several influential figures with the same level of cultivation as them. But in the end, the clan leader informed them that the dragon-searching mirror for Shi Feng's mother and son had been shattered, so they didn't calm down. That's a divine artifact, it's a heritage of the stone clan. Who has the courage to shatter their seismic clan artifacts? So based on the sound emitted after the mother mirror shattered, we found the Dao Tian sect here. However, what left the 3 of them somewhat stunned at the moment was that although the Dao Tian sect had built it in a grand manner, it felt desolate and desolate. Is there no one at the gate? No problem, since there's no one around, let's go in and find Shi Feng. The elder brushes his sleeves and leads the second and third elders forward with a step. Woo! But at this moment, the sleeping Rhubarb had already woken up and angrily shouted at them. Wild dog! Get out of here! Be careful not to let me beat you to death. At this moment, the three elders approached. He was slightly younger and spoke extremely arrogantly. Wu woof. De Huang still didn't speak, he was waiting for Yi Xian and the others to come out. It stopped in front of the Daotian sect and shouted at several people with a fierce expression. White air sprayed out of its nose, like a fierce beast. Get out of here, I don't have time to accompany you right now. The elder was about to take action and kick the Rhubarb aside, but at that moment, he saw several figures walking inside the sect and was surprised. Shifeng, it's you. The second and third elders also noticed Shifeng, but Yen Linger and Shao Qing who were following beside him were not even noticed. A few elders. Upon hearing the words of the two elders, Shifeng was also taken aback. Okay, kid, I didn't expect you to really hide inside the Daotian sect. The second elder shouted angrily. Surprisingly, you have recovered from your injury. Who did it? The elder's gaze was profound. As soon as Shifeng came out, he noticed the changes on his body. His injuries were completely healed, unlike those being chased by several people from the Golden Elixir realm. You even broke through to the Golden Elixir cultivation. The third elder's eyes shone with golden light, staring straight at the changes on Shifeng's body. Unexpectedly, Shifeng, who had been chased and seriously injured, recovered his injuries in such a short time and even broke through to the realm of the Golden Elixir. Listening to the elders constantly asking questions, Shifeng sneered and said, thanks to your blessings, Xiaofeng survived the disaster and even met the Daotian sect. He met my master. Daotian sect. Your master. The elder became angry and said coldly, Xiaofeng, you have taken away Shi Luan's heavy pupils. Hurry up and return to your clan to be punished. Otherwise, what will happen today? Do you dare to take action in the Daotian sect? Shifeng did not let the elder finish speaking, but directly refuted him. He has now become a disciple of the sect leader and master in the Daotian sect, and he believes that the elders of the Shi Luan lineage dare not act recklessly. Upon hearing the words of the elder, Yen Linger beside her looked stunned. Has Shifeng taken away Shi Luan's heavy pupils? What's this called? Didn't Shi Luan dig up Shifeng's supreme bone? She found herself in a world different from what was written in the book Daotian sect. Ha ha ha. The three elders laughed. What kind of thing are you, Daotian sect? Our stone clan is in this imperial court. It's easy for us to get wind and rain, and we can easily level you down. The second elder sneered. The elder also chuckled slightly. If the Daotian sect were to be replaced by the ethereal sect, they would still be wary. But this heavenly sect was destroyed 3 years ago, what strength can it have? Daotian sect. This seat can be destroyed by raising your hand. Ah. The attitude of the elder is arrogant, with a hint of mockery. But halfway through his words, he felt a sharp pain coming from his arm. He glanced sideways and found a sticky liquid hanging on it, which had strong corrosiveness. Is this a mouthful of phlegm? The elder was inexplicably shocked, and a sense of fear rose in his heart. Because he realized that even if he used magic, he couldn't stop the erosion power of saliva. Hate. A cough came from the crowd, and several elders fixed their eyes on it and found that it was actually that dog. He's spitting. Damn it. You wild dog, how dare you? The second and third elders were furious and raised their hands to destroy the Rhubarb. As they took the first step forward, their faces immediately changed. Because a larger mouthful of yellow phlegm flew in, carrying a strong foul odor. Ah! Another scream came, and it was the elder who suffered. That mouthful of yellow phlegm pounced on his face, corroding his entire face. The second and third elders looked horrified and didn't care about anything. They quickly took out a pool of spiritual spring and poured it on the eldest elder. Dead wild dog, you damn it. The second and third elders roared and took out their strongest weapons to attack. The big yellow dog grinned and stood calmly in place. Entangled knife. 7 kill guns. Second elder and third elder are attacking and trying to kill the rhubarb with one strike. But before he could reach the big yellow, the big elder pounced behind him and directly bit the second and third elders. Ah! Elder! Elder, you! What are you biting us for? The second and third elders looked bewildered. At this moment, the elder had a fierce face, his whole face turned iron blue, and his eyes were bloodshot. Woo! A dog barked from the mouth of the elder, causing everyone to be amazed. Is the elder barking a dog? Is it because of those 2 bites of phlegm? Done. The saliva of the elder is poisonous. 3 elders, use your skills to resist now. Hurry up and knock the elder unconscious. This guy is biting hard and not letting go. Quickly use the clan chief's spell to suppress him. Quickly, quickly. Ah! It hurts so much. The elder has lost his sense of autonomy and turned into a mad dog. You, let's wait and see. The second and third elders endured the pain and could only leave with resentment. Xuan and others were stunned as they watched the entire process. The way Rhubarb drives away can be a bit disgusting, but it also works. Xuan, these are your tribe members. You can handle them yourself in the future. Killing them will dirty the Emperor's hands. Rhubarb is boring, lie down and rest. Xuan.